welcome back to Rolls and Rockets Planescape Torment, episode number 8. So here we back are, or we're back here in the Smouldering Corpse Bar where we left off. And we are going to have more chats at the bar. Okay, let's see here. Candrian, Ebcreeknees. Alright, let's get the chant about the plains from good old Candrian. You see a soft-looking man with gentle, far-staring eyes. He dresses in supple leather clothing and carries various implements of use and destruction about his body, such as ropes, spikes, tinderboxes, and empty vials of air. He looks half gone, literally. There's an insubstantiality to his existence, as if his essence has been partially leached away. He focuses those eyes on you, and suddenly you find them gripping and determined. Greetings to you, O Seeker. Greetings. He carefully sets down the mug he's holding and gives you all his attention. I have seen the far reaches of the multiverse and returned to tell the tale. I have walked upon the bodies of dead gods and spun moonbeams in the astral ahead of 1,000 shrieking Githyanki knights. I have passed the edges of existence and watched my essence shiver away before me. What is it I can do for you? I had some questions for you. Perhaps I have answers for you. Speak and I shall tell you. Oh, train incoming. Gonna wait for it to... Just waiting for the train to pass. Excuse me. Perhaps I have answers for you. Speak and I shall tell you. I met a woman named Ingress with very bad teeth. She said she had come through a portal from some world that was opened by a tune hummed near 2 crossed trees. Can you get her home? He pauses briefly, thinking, I know the portal of which you speak, though I have not traveled it these 30 years gone. I will take her home, Seeker. Go tell her to await my arrival, then meet me back here and I will tell you if I was successful or not. Thanks, I had some other questions.
Updated my journal.
Who are you? I am Candrian Illborne, traveler, dreamer, tale spinner, and so forth. You are a traveler. Tell me of the plains. I am tired, Seeker, so tired. I am fresh back from negation. I will answer what I can for you, but I cannot promise that you will find satisfaction in the answers I give. What would you know? What would you hear of the outer planes, the prime material, or the inner planes? What's the difference? The difference is true essence, Seeker. The inner planes are matter, substance, true physicality. They are the building blocks of the multiverse, for it is from them that all belief in the elements springs. The inner planes filter through the ethereal plane, the plane of potential, some say, which forms the elements into the worlds of mortals. Once past the ethereal plane, one reaches the prime material, where exist all manner of mortals and monsters and myth and machines. It is there that belief is born, and there that the spirits that create the outer planes are born. When mortals die, they pass through the astral plane, a no place that is thought and mental energy itself. It is in all things and in none. It is paradox among other things, and it filters spirits into the great ring. Do you comprehend so far? Yes, go on. Now, the outer planes. Where should I start? Do you know the cardinal rules of the planes on which all others are based? Do you know about the composition of the outer planes? Do you know of the Great Ring and its divisions in our hearts? Do you know of the individual planes? Each of these leads to the next, and so it is best to start from the beginning. Tell me the composition of the planes. The outer planes are created of and by belief and thought and faith. They take their imagined form from the prime material plane, shaped into forms that stagger the imagination, built by the accumulation of belief. Belief creates the planes. Belief is power here. Change belief and you can change the nature of reality. The creatures that are born here, the Planeborn, like the fiends and celestials, are truly born of the thoughts and concepts of mortals. They each express some sort of ideal, and the more powerful the ideal, the more powerful the being. Thus, the being that symbolizes love is one of the strongest of all. Go on. That's why the powers, gods, some call them, live out here. This is where all the faith in them comes. This is where they are at their most pure and most strong. Their realms are extensions of their very beings, manifestations of their godly essence, all of it informed by belief. So the composition of the planes is belief. Tell me of the Great Ring now. Among the loose unity of planewalkers, we conceive of the infinite outer planes as a ring surrounding the plane of ultimate neutrality, the Outlands. The spire atop which Sigil sits is in the center of the Outlands. The further one travels away from the spire, the less neutral the plane grows until it spills into the neighboring planes. Each of these planes impinges on the Outlands, spinning themselves into law and chaos, good and evil. A great road marks the demarcation between the Outlands and the gate towns that spring up around the gates to these planes. Beyond the gate towns lies the hinterlands, uncharted territory that is lost to history. That loses thought. Danger lies in the hinterlands. Go on. The outer planes differ by morality, not substance, for you will divide the planes into 3 sets. The upper planes of good, the lower planes of evil, and the boundary planes of neutrality. These are then divided further by law and chaos, with the Outlands in the middle. Which of these interests you? The upper planes. Of the upper planes, there are the neutral planes, the lawful planes, and the chaotic planes. What would you know? The neutral planes. The neutral upper planes contain the Beastlands, a place of neutrality and goodness, with a slight tinge of chaos, where the animals rule in the eternal noon and night. They hold Bitopia, twin paradise of industry and labor, where all work toward the good of all, and Elysium, the sweetest plane of goodness and calm I've ever come to know. Alas, right now I am not well enough to enjoy any of their restorative effects. What would you hear now? Tell me of the rest of the upper planes. Of the upper planes, there are the neutral planes, the lawful planes, and the chaotic planes. What would you know? The neutral planes. Tell me of the upper planes. Tell me the lawful planes. Candrian gives a small shudder. I am not the best person to speak of the planes of law, he says. For the innate structure and ultimate patterns they impose frighten me. I steer clear of them because I value my individuality more than I value the knowledge they'll bring me. They include regimented Arcadia, nearest of the good planes to the unbending order of Mechanus and Mount Celestia, home of the Archons, an island in the Silver Sea. The chaotic planes. These are where I feel at home. Though I steer clear of Ysgard for the most part, the endless battles and tests of metal among the floating earthbergs of the plane don't do much for my disposition. Arborea, though, he sighs. The mountains are taller, the air clearer, the rivers purer, and the game larger than anywhere else. It is a true paradise, a place where passions run high and the wine never ceases to flow. When I have recovered enough of my wits and myself, when we have done with the outer planes, you should ask me of the inner, and I will describe my journey to you. I will return to Arborea's bowers and glades and lose myself for a time. Okay. Lower planes. Like the upper planes, the lower planes are divided into lawful, chaotic, and neutral. Each of them varies in terms of horrors and what those horrors do to a traveler's spirit, and all of them are best avoided. Which of them would you like to hear of? The neutral planes. The neutral planes, eh? They're vile and barely understandable. And they're more insidious on their own than you could ever imagine. Take Gehenna, for example. 4 volcanoes in stages of dormancy, floating in an infinite void, each of them somehow alive, and each of them wanting your soul by whatever means they can get it. Populated with Yugoloths, the worst of the fiends in my opinion, and you've got the place of ultimate evil. At least that's what they call it. It's the Grey Waste, a no place that drains color from your body and spirit, stealing away even your apathy, and it's the site of the worst battlegrounds in the war down there. Don't get me started. Then you've got Carceri on the chaotic side. Tell me about the war. Aye, the Blood War. At the name, your blood feels as if it freezes in your veins. Illborn doesn't seem to notice, wrapped up as he is in his memories. Two armies of fiends smashing together pointlessly across the lower planes, slaughtering mindlessly in the name of law and chaos. They'll aggrandize it, of course, but in the end, it's about hate and stupid endeavor that aids none and harms far too many. Tell me about Carceri. Ah, Carceri. In its poisonous jungles, acid swamps, destructive waters, strung like a string of rotten pearls nestled within one another. He pauses and looks at you carefully, again fixing you in place with his eyes. Remembering this, Seeker, Carceri is a prison, home to the Geraleths, one of the most dangerous types of fiends there is. The strength of the prison is the strength of the captor, as strong as the prisoner lets it be. Destroy the prison keeper and a body can escape the red prison. There is almost no other way out. Not when the gates close themselves behind you and watch you spin off into the vast space surrounding the orbs. Be wary of Carceri, traveler, for its bonds can be greater than flesh.
Updated my journal.
Okay. Interesting. Lawful planes. As much as I detest the order of the lawful upper planes, at least they present a modicum of goodness. Their lower planar counterparts, though. Acheron's a place of ricocheting cubes that never see an end to battle, swarming with the souls of dead humanoids. Bator. He shivers involuntarily. Bator is a place best avoided. Those Batizu, the fiends in the corner there, are but the merest expression of the deviant corruption embodied in that soulless machine of order. If you want more, talk to them, but remember, all that is bad about bureaucracy and order originates from Bator, and it spreads like a stain across the hearts of mortals. Though there is some knowledge to be found there, it is rarely worth the spiritual rape the plane inflicts. My goodness. Yes, a place of pure evil, indeed. Alrighty, the chaotic planes. The Abyss isn't some place you should consider going. Where Bator is all orderly, the Abyss is full of chaos and change, and none of it's pleasant. When it becomes something that approximates normality, that's when you should be most wary of it. It's home to the Tanari, what most primes call demons, and they've got the name for a reason. They're unpredictable and murderous, and the few you can trust are few and far between. The few I have met who I trust, I still don't trust entirely. They are creatures of chaos and evil incarnate, and if they're putting on a friendly face, who's to say it's not part of a larger agenda? Interesting how the lawful one felt a lot more disturbing than the description of the chaotic one. But then again, I'm not a fan of bureaucracy in general, so the pure evil side of it just strikes me as being so horrifying. Not that the Tanari aren't horrifying and chaotic and despicably terrible. Alrighty. Let's see. Boundary planes. There are two boundary planes to my mind, and they are diametrically opposed. One of them, Mechanicus, is the very essence of law, a place where beliefs fit together, interlocking, turning in a massive machine that is the entire plane. Some folks have it that the gears of Mechanus are the engine that drives the planes. The other plane is Limbo, a swirling morass of chaos that follows no rules, none. And just when a body thinks he's classified its behavior, it goes and changes on him. Or it doesn't. You just can't tell. I was in limbo not too long ago. Tell me of your journey. He closes his eyes, remembering. I had a Githzerai guide with me, an anarch who could shape the logical matter of the plane into forms of his desire. We had fought off the harrying of the Slat-Eye, the chaos creatures who call the plane home. It seemed there were more than usual, but then one can never tell what's usual in limbo. But I digress. In the midst of all this chaos, we came across a series of huge metal interlocking cubes, like some sort of puzzle box. It wasn't something we had shaped, consciously or not, and we couldn't find a way inside. It was like a bastion of order within the confines of disorder, a seed of law. That is the best I can explain it. Huh. Tell me more of the places of the Great Ring.
Updated my journal.
Very interesting. The Outlands. Okay. The Outlands are absolute neutrality, probably the best place for a body to visit in the Outer Planes, outside of Sigil. If you don't want to have a plane's morality forced into your heart, everything balances out in the Outlands, as it should be. For the plane that sits at the center of the Outer Planes, Power's realms are scattered about here, and there are handfuls of gate towns that open into the rest of the Outer Planes. The gate towns usually mirror the philosophy of the plane their gate opens onto, and if the balance of belief isn't kept in the town slips into the nearby plane. It's a bad situation for everyone, because a few of the folks in the towns really want that change, but enough of the Outlands. What more would you know? Okay. Inner Planes. He sighs, as if this reminded him of his bone-deep weariness. Think of the Inner Planes as a globe. On the top pole you have the positive material plane. On the bottom you have the negative material. Pauses. Remind me to tell you of the negative. His eyes turn inward, to some private horror. From the interaction between the two springs, all of the urge for existence and non-existence, death and life, actuality and nothing. From them spring the basic elemental planes, like fire, water, air, and earth. The para-elemental planes that lie between the four basic elementals, and the quasi-elemental planes that come from the interaction of the four elementals with the positive and negative. Tell me of the negative material plane. His eyes cloud over. I went to the inner planes to discover my true essence. I made the mistake of visiting the negative material plane in order to understand my body's urge to decay and the cycle of death in life. I thought myself protected against the ill effects of the plane with my magic, but I was wrong. The blackness of infinite nothing pressed on my soul, and I was beset by shadows that sought to snuff out my very soul. I lost my way for a time, for an eternity, and nearly lost my existence. I could feel my essence falling away from me, and even now, I am half gone. Never will I return. How did you survive?
Updated my journal.
How did I survive? He smiles tightly. With a piece of nothing that held back the nothing. Nothing can stop nothing, you know. And so I carried nothing in my hand to protect me. Do you plan to journey to the ultimate negation yourself? You have the smell of desperation about you, and so I make you this gift. Hold it in your hand when the shadows press in, and it should protect you and your friends somewhat, should they remain close to you. He passes you a small black token that looks as if it has no dimensionality to it at all. Thanks, I had more. Tell me more of the planes. Tell me of the prime material. You want to know of the prime? Visit it. The boundless worlds of the plane have an infinite variety, as do the planes, but I cannot encapsulate them as I have here. Suffice it to say, they are the birth of the outer planes, the children of the inner, and they hold limitless potential within their boundaries. Tell me more of the planes. Huh. What did you mean when you mentioned negation before? Okay, so that's... we already talked about that. What are you doing? I am fresh back from negation and I'm trying to restore my essence before it slips away from me altogether. What is this place? Unless the cosmos has shifted or we have been spun into the mazes, I would say that we're in the Smouldering Corpse Tavern. I love this guy. What can you tell me of the patrons here? I mind my own business here, Seeker, for I spend too much time away not minding it. Speak to the bartender if you would learn more of his customers. Other questions? I'm looking for a journal I lost. I've seen no journals lately but for my own, and that has crumpled away into nothingness. My apologies. Do you know a collector named Farod? Farod grew up to be a collector? How long ago was this? When I set out last, he was but an officious stripling in one of the upper wards. Huh. Time does change some people. No, Seeker. I don't know Farod anymore. I'm willing to bet. Forget it. Farewell. Alright. Excellent. Thank you very much, Candrian. Dakon. Oh, the music changed. Alright. The man before you is old. His dry yellow skin has the scars of one who has traveled everywhere and never rested long in any one place. His pinched face is inhumanly angular, and his ears sweep out from his skull, tapering to points. He wears a loose-fitting orange tunic and a strange shimmering blade is strapped across his back. The blade looks to be a two-pronged glaive made of some metal whose surface swirls like a film of oil on a pond. Greetings. The man turns to you, his eyes like polished coal. He stares through you, and for a moment you wonder if he might be blind. The weapon suddenly turns a dead, flat black, mirroring the man's eyes. Are you alright?
Hail, traveler.
His voice is quiet and somber, like a wind whispering through the branches of a great tree. Hail.
Your eyes have the weight of one who has traveled far to be in this place.
You could say that. The man's gaze does not waver from yours. I am known as Dakkon. The emphasis he places on the word known strikes you as odd, yet familiar at the same time. You are not known to me. I do not know myself. That is for the best. In knowing yourself, there would be little in the plains left worth knowing. He falls silent for a moment, still studying you with his cold black eyes. I would know why you have come to this city. I'm looking for answers. I have many questions. Speak your questions. I will hear you. Your features are unfamiliar to me. What are you? A Githzerai. A Githzerai? Githzerai is one of the people. One of the people? A Githzerai. Yes, but what are Githzerai exactly? Dakon is silent for a moment and speaks. Our history does not need to be made known to you. We would bleed to death on Time's blade before I recited a fraction of the histories of our people. I don't need to know your histories, but I would know of your people as they are now. Dakon is silent for a moment. Know this and accept it as an answer. We are the people who make our home upon the shifting plains of Limbo. With a deft motion, Dakkon slips the blade from his back and holds it before him. Wait and see what happens. There, we mold the matter of Limbo with our minds. We forge cities with our thoughts. As you watch, a series of rippling waves of metal begin to roll forth from the center of the blade. The pitch and crest of the waves matched the inflections in Dakkon's voice. In this chaos we dwell, with only our knowing to preserve us. We are the Githzerai. What is that blade you have? It moved, shifted in response to your voice. It is a Karak blade. It is an object that lets others know the rank of the wielder. Karak, what does that mean? Dakkon falls silent for a moment, as if searching for the correct words. In your tongue, the closest translation is chaos matter. The people may shape it with their thoughts. People. The Githzerai. And you were saying the Githzerai can shape this Karak with their thoughts. Karak is not shaped by heat, but by knowing oneself. It is a mirror that reflects the will of the wielder on its surface and on its edge. When one knows themselves, the blade is strong, harder and stronger than steel. When one does not know themselves, the blade is as water, formless and weak. Are you willing to sell it? I doubt that. What rank does this blade signify? The blade is a symbol carried by the Zerth. A Zerth is one who knows the words of Zerthamon. In knowing the words of Zerthamon, they know themselves. Zerthamon? Zerthamon founded our race. He knew the Githzerai before they knew themselves. He defined the people. He gave them one mind. I had some other questions. Let me see. Can you tell me about the city? It is known by the name Sigil. Among the people, it is known as the city that does not know itself. It doesn't know itself? What do you mean? The city exists, but it does not know itself. In not knowing itself, its existence is flawed. How is it flawed? The city exists in opposition to itself. It has set itself apart from the planes, yet it seeks to be everywhere at once. Its walls are doors, yet it keeps these doors locked. Such an existence tells of a thing that does not know itself. In not knowing itself, it is flawed. When you say the city is everywhere at once, what do you mean? The city itself is built from doors. These doors lead everywhere. Where are these doors? They are everywhere. Dakkon falls silent for a moment. It is said that every bounded space within this city is a door that leads elsewhere. Why did you say the city is flawed again? Its walls are doors? The city itself is built from doors. These doors lead everywhere. Okay. You seem to place a special emphasis on knowing. What do you mean? All things, whether structure or flesh, their existence is defined by their knowing of themselves. And if a man does not know himself? When a mind does not know itself, it is flawed. When a mind is flawed, the man is flawed. When a man is flawed, that which he touches is flawed. Dakkon pauses. It is said that when a flawed man sees, his hands are made broken. Do you know yourself? Dakkon falls silent. His coal black eyes take on the same distance that you noticed when you first spoke. I ask again, do you know yourself? When Dakkon speaks again, his voice has changed. His words echo like a great stone dropped into a chasm. It looks like he is forcing the words from his chest. It is not my will that you know this. Never mind, I had some other questions. Do you know a man named Farod? I am told he knows something about me. I am not known to this one. I've lost a journal. Do you know where it might be? The location of such things not known to me. I had some other questions. Okay, there is nothing to be said. Farewell. As you turn to leave, the man speaks sharply. The first time you have heard his tone change since the conversation began. Hold! The man's voice levels out. This city is not known to you. I would travel your path with you. I accept. An extra blade would be welcome.
Your path is mine.
Very well, let's go. And with that, thank you so much for listening and all that. I love reading the dialogue from Candrian, and I love Dakkon. He's a wonderful character. But we're going to call it here for now. Thank you so much for watching Rolls and Rockets. Have a great time. Bye-bye.